Spacer Waves, eBook Part 1 by Anthony Cashman, also known as Stretchy Recoil the Paralysis Demon on the main YouTube channel, or Tony Cashman for the alt, March Griffin Digs, Deer Signals, Little Spinner. If you'd like to check those out, I'll link in the description if I can, but I'll try to sell this on Squarespace for the foreseeable future. Maybe it won't be an actual ebook yet, maybe it won't even be legible to read, but I'll read it out loud for the sake of this video. So, here we go. Part 1. Bosun Prestige entered the room with her small clockwork action figure clutched gently on her belt side. Her light blue eyes skated carefully to the blaring sunlit window to the left of the room, calculating how nasty it must have been to spray these blinds down, especially since the exterminators were former mathematicians, and how she knows this is beyond most. Bosun surprisingly creeps down a bit as if to duck under a log bridge in the woods, but still continues to enter the spacious yet small industrial room, with no female villainesses named after measure tools to be scared of, quote-unquote. She stops suddenly towards the middle, counting to 3, and goes past the right corridor. Sooner than she herself could physically have seen the notebook flip into her arms because of how subconsciously good she had gotten at her detective role, Bosun sort of carelessly prepares to write down the scene just as it is, boring and all. Her lighter blonde, glimmering in wind-scared hair brushed a bit inches behind her free writing practice, then literally a few minutes of simply standing in place at the other end of the slightly distant other end of the small corridor. She immediately jolts down the exact details of the next room in front of her. This other room is not empty like the last, having a variety of large plush toys, of which she has already now instantly placed her controversially heroic brown action figure in the center of, and nightstands strangely spaced apart from every single other wall there. Mathematicians could not have used green spray cans to cover this incident up, not even Pale Hatchet. Hours later, Bosun arrives outdoors under what looks like a huge fruit stand with a long underground subway ticket at her first tables. It only takes one glare from the woman at the base to paint 25% of the picture of the scene. Good start, Miss Cresty. For some reason, Bosun is proud of the obviously worthwhile effort she just put in. She does a quick take to look to her right and then left twice over, not to look for signs of danger, but to wince off her alternative unknown fears. It takes me no less than all the other... wait, hold on. Not perfect. There we go. Okay. She then speaks, pure and simple, straight to the point. It takes me no less than all the other variables to find what happened in the actual crime. Miss Krusty, are you singing an anime song or stoking up more asthma? She wasn't doing either. Quote-unquote presumptively, at least. My gosh! So sorry, ma'am. Just read the list. It takes a load off trying to interpret what I have to speak. Krusty, we don't come to Earth to learn what we already know. Please just chill out and have a little pizzazz for once. Uptight girls like you need some light in your frame. If that will ever help you in any way to not be out of touch. How ironic. Bosun is a detective specialist for the firm she works at, under specific guidance to not distract herself from the task at hand, under no circumstances to even paradoxically improve the results. As most cannot imagine, she prefers to be a very insane example of how to lose your job, trying too hard to include totally irrelevant details and get lost in ideas that end up causing more trouble, respectively, in addition to the fact that certain crime even took place there. While most people seem to want to accept that things are the way they are, you could never tell this girl to accept that if an apple moves billions of atoms across the air, that you can physically bite into it with your teeth and chemically demonstrate the rest. It's because of these anarchistic behaviors to stand out from the crowd that Bosun seems to fail to raise the amount of money required to purchase a ticket off of the dimensional island she is still on. Before you start to feel a little sorry for whose unlucky father's daughter this would be, there is still praise in some of her feats, even though she sees some of their strengths as being quote-unquote maintaining wicked/crooked styles. For example, in the room she was in for the last detective assignment, there is truth to her trying to compare and contrast things that have zero weight or relevance in the common eye compared to the number one priority work she is given. Where are we at? Oh, okay. All she did was analyze what was inactive in the non-evident room, and somehow, some way, this in turn helped her analyze the following room that did have the scene of the crime so quickly it didn't even register at any judgment could be passed by this psycho gal. It doesn't appear to be the case that Boson Prestige has something to prove, at least not mostly. What has existed in her world served examples, or didn't, and what existed in worlds that never did exist still served examples evermore. And so you would think that if someone were to come along and try to sabotage the way things work, they would simply be dealt with. Not to mention that anyone with something to prove would surely arrive sooner, efforts and all. Except all this girl's life, it was a non-example, quote-unquote, of its own that she was never going to be realized of her own potential that she already took so well into both this and trying to unironically accept status quo as she would think. It's always the things that we neither think the most nor least about that get the most space in our example of what we think matters. End of part 1. Take care, everyone. This has been Space Waves ebook part 1. I might try to sell this on Squarespace from the merch section. The first book I had from like the things people read was free, but I didn't even really sell that. If I have a merch enabled in Squarespace for my wiry, I'll try to get that on there. But other than that, this has been the free ebook reading audiobook version, I guess you could say. Whatever I get those tarot deck knocking ideas, whatever else I do. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed Squarespace. I hope you enjoyed Spacer Waves ebook part 1. This heroine, Boson Prestige, she's quite something. She's easily been a bit of my obsession for those kinds of heroine and girl and woman figures of role models for women. And it's just it's a beautiful thing when you know that these ideas don't just come out of nowhere. These are actually the impressions I have, the faith I the trust and faith I have in the opposite sex. And I'm not just saying that to like be a good writer. I sincerely think that a lot of girls and women learn their own ways. Not necessarily strictly different from guys, but they have their own way of doing things that we should honor. And it's not like no one collectively ever learns these things, but I think girls and women have a lot to display for things, even if this is merely only my own vision of how this works. Like, for example, when I say, Cresty, we don't come to Earth to learn what we already know, it's an irony. It's like a switch behind, it's a swapping effect behind, we don't come to Earth to have fun, we come to Earth to learn how to grow and evolve. But once we do that and we figure out how that works, that becomes fun. That's the irony of that. But another thing I wrote in here, which was like the very last sentence I just read. It's always the things that we neither think the most nor least about that get the most space in our except about what we think matters. That's a little too deep even for me. But it's basically like it's always that one thing that you neither think the least or most about that somehow bears truth for something that you couldn't possibly imagine had been relevant in your own life, but it was already there for you and for everyone else for some reason. These things are very weird. It's like this whole story for what I've been calling right now Spacer Waves. It's a very, very deep story. It's like it's not just about heroines and girls and women. It's not just about people who do things differently from the norm, or even follow the human game and learn by the rules and then change the game later. It's about more than just that. It's probably deeper than I can even imagine myself. But anyways, if I sell this book, I'm gonna probably charge it like $5 or $10 at first, because not to undervalue it, but to just give people a chance to get access to it, if they ever, because what you pay money on is giving you energy to it. The energy of money and love and the finance, romance, all that stuff, it's a little different. But earth and water, you name it, zodiac. But I only push this one video for 10 minutes because I might upload this to both Tony Cashman and especially Recall the Paralysis Demon. But if it's on either one, you'll be able to see this anyway. And this audiobook makes it easier to tell what you're doing with buying the written version. But I will see you guys later. Enjoy your day. Have a happy new year for 2024. And I will try to write part 2 and later if I can and make charges as well. But Squarespace for MyWire LLC, go there for now, mywire.org, and I'll have a new tab there. for the book. See you guys.